This is a difficult one for me, and there's multiple reasons why it's kind of difficult. And the fact that we never really know what team the Cavaliers are going to be on a particular day. Now, early in the season, we kind of thought that the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to be a great team. We thought that they were going to be a bomb squad and they were going to rival the Warriors. But towards the end of the season, they really fluttered a little bit. They were really struggling on the offensive end, especially LeBron James being the only catalyst to their offense. But now, in the last series, we kind of see a Kevin Love return, was it? Where Kevin Love really got into his own and he really started to play like Kevin Love. Now, it really wasn't the difference in shot selection. He really took the same kind of shots, but Kevin Love's shots actually started to go in, which was an anomaly because they never really went in throughout the whole playoffs. Now, the thing is, against a team like the Celtics is a better team in my opinion. Of course, they don't have a Kyrie Irving. Of course, they don't have a Gordon Hayward. Of course, those were huge losses. But in terms of a full team, how they play as a team, especially their coach, Brad Stevens being the catalyst to their offense, the catalyst to their defense, the kind of structure that they have as a team, they are a better team than the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to really have a problem with scoring the basketball. And it's not really going to be a problem with LeBron James scoring the basketball. Of course, LeBron is going to be LeBron no matter what he really does. But the thing that really scares me about the Cleveland Cavaliers facing the Boston Celtics is the fact that no one else on the Cleveland Cavaliers have really been scoring except for Kevin Love as of recent. But the thing about the Celtics is that they are one of the top defenses in the NBA. They might be ranked 1 or 2. The Spurs might be in the mix or something. But I actually think that the Celtics are the number 1 ranked team defensively in the NBA in terms of points. Now, you got Rodney Hood barely producing. You got George Hill barely producing. You got Jeff Green barely producing. You got Kevin Love finally finding his stroke. We have no idea if Kevin Love is going to be that Kevin Love in this series. Now, the thing about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the thing about the NBA in general is that everybody always catches this amnesia thing. Everybody always doesn't really remember what happened this series before. Everybody doesn't really remember what happened yesterday. They remember what's happening now. Now, what's happening now is that the Cleveland Cavaliers, they swept Toronto Raptors. They swept the first seed in the NBA. And another thing is a lot of people quote amnesia about the Toronto Raptors because when have they ever really produced in the playoffs? So the thing about the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't really put a lot of stock in the last series, man, because the Raptors, they've never really been a good playoff team. They've always been a good regular season team, but they've always been a bad playoff team. So with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I have to really think about what they did prior to that Toronto Raptors series. Now, prior to that Toronto Raptors series, they played an Indiana Pacers team really hard. Now, of course, that game went to Game 7. They really only had one specific score, one specific catalyst for their whole entire offense. Of course, they had other players like Lance Stevenson. Of course, they had other players like Miles Turner, but the only real score on that offense was Victor Oladipo. Now, that team took that Cleveland Cavaliers team to 7 games. Now, the question I have to ask myself is that, one, did Cleveland Cavaliers grow from that series? And the other question I have to ask myself is, would that Indiana Pacers team beat this Boston Celtics team? Now, the thing is, I feel like Kevin Love grew, but I still don't believe that this Indiana team could beat that Boston team. So it's kind of really shaking at me. In my opinion, I feel like Boston Celtics would probably win in 5 or 6 games. But the thing that makes me feel like the Boston Celtics might end up losing is the fact that they're really young. Now, you guys know what happens to a young team in the playoffs. They don't really play that great. They really don't play up to their expectations. And of course, fans don't necessarily like to hear that. But if you look, for example, Ben Simmons in one playoff game dropped 1 point. Like, we know Ben Simmons is not a 1-point guy. Of course, Ben Simmons produces a lot more. But because Ben Simmons never been in this arena, never been at this stage, he's going to have those games. Now, the Celtics players, I expect those players to have those games. I expect Jaylon Brown to have those games, even though he played in the playoffs last season. But this is the first playoff series where he's supposed to be that guy. I expect Jason Tatum to have those games. I expect Terry Rosier to have those type of games. So because of that, that gives me the pause in saying the Cleveland Cavaliers might actually win. Now, if the Cleveland Cavaliers do win, it's going to be a 7-game series. But I will say this, if the Celtics play up to par, if the Celtics do not flutter, if they stay calm under the pressure, I feel like the Celtics can end up closing this series out in 5 or 6 games. But let me know what you guys think about the series in the comment section below. Who do you guys think is going to pull it out? Of course, we know Cleveland Cavaliers has a juggernaut in LeBron James. And of course, the Celtics has a juggernaut of a coach in Brad Stevens. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.